Hey, welcome. Black Cajun Sports Talk here today. Del Greco Wilson. And today, I'm excited, Philadelphia. I'm excited here to have the head coach of the Big Ten co-champion, Maryland Terrapins, as my guest, my friend, my good friend, Coach Mark Turgeon. How you doing, Turgeon?
Thanks for having me on, bud.
How's your missus? How's your kids? How's everybody, man?
They're doing well. You know, each week gets a little bit tougher. I got one in college, one in high school, and one in grade school. And it's amazing the different loads of work that they have. Probably the high school works the hardest of all three. I think my youngest son was ready for me to go back to work after about 3 or 4 days, but it's been great. You know, a lot more family meals, a lot more time together. It's been good.
Well, I ask everybody this question, man. I need to know what's your role and responsibility, man? Are you the guidance counselor, the principal, the math teacher? What are you doing in the house, man?
I better not be the math teacher, though, flunk. So, yeah, I don't do much. You know, my job is to provide. So I work. You know, it's busy right now, but it's more just spending time with them, talking to them. My wife's a teacher by trade.
Okay, so you're
part of that. I actually really like to cook, so I'm involved in a lot of meals. I like doing that. I've actually taught my kids how to grill during this break, which has been good. I've always had a charcoal grill. I've switched to a gas, and the last couple of years was a lot easier. But I love to cook out, being from Kansas and Kansas City area, and barbecue and stuff. So I've been doing a lot of that with them, which has been fun.
I know you're a real gym rat, man, and I know your assistants. I know Matt Brady. I mean, you guys okay? You like addicts going through withdrawal over there, man? They locked the gym on you, didn't they, Turd?
Yeah, they've locked every gym in the country up. They locked parks up. You know, they took the nets down and things like that. So it's been difficult. Coaches are wired just kind of crazy, and for us to feel like we're doing something worthwhile, we recruit all the time. So really that's all you can do is recruit, and spend time with your players on Zoom or talking to them, and a lot going on in college basketball. But yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough because we feel like we really separate ourselves this time of year. Our spring individual work is, we don't feel sorry for ourselves. We get after it. We feel like we win a game or two in the spring, and same with the summer. So we had some guys that really needed to make a huge jump, including a couple Philly guys, for us to maintain us being a great program. And I feel like this time's slipping away from us, but hopefully we'll get it at the end of the summer and in the fall to get the guys ready to go.
All right, now I have to ask you, Turge. So what did we miss, man? I had y'all, I was there when all the confetti came down and I was a few feet away from you. I never saw you so animated and excited, man. You were really happy for the program and for the kids to finally, get one of those Big Ten titles. I had you in the Elite Eight, man, with a strong shot at the Final Four. So what did you expect to get done in the Big Ten tournament? What kind of seed do you think you would have gotten in? Were you going to be the national champ, Turk?
Well, obviously that was a great day, Dale, cutting down the nets, and I was animated because it's a lot of work, man. When you come in as an ACC coach and you have to change leagues, that's not easy. And I love the Big Ten; it's a great league, and I love the coaches. It's a great coaches league, great players league, and we had to earn it. I felt like we got everybody's best shot all year. We played against some guys that played out of their mind against us, and we were still able to win. So being ranked so high, we took a lot of great shots, and we were able to get it done, which was great. So I'm glad we celebrated. I didn't know that was going to be our last day together on the court, but I'm glad I did it the way we did. I'm glad it was on senior day. We did it the right way. I was excited about the postseason because late in the year we had a really tough schedule. We weren't able to really practice. We were traveling. We had 3 out of 4 on the road. We got stranded in Minnesota. So we actually had time to practice for Michigan. We had time to practice for the Big Ten. We would have time to practice for the NCAA tournament. So I think we were just going to really get our swagger back and play at a high level. We played really well against Michigan, shot the ball well. So I was excited. Who knows? The Big Ten, anybody could have won that tournament. There was 12 legitimate teams this year that could have made a run. So it was a terrific league. The thing I thought, for the NCAA tournament, why we had a chance is most of the season we were top 5 in defensive efficiency. We were a really good defensive team. We'd slipped a little bit there in that slide, but we were getting it back and we were starting to practice more. So if you look at the NCAA tournament, teams that make runs, they're really solid, and we were one of those teams. Plus, we had 2 superstars and Jalen Smith and Anthony Cowan that could put us on their back at any time. So it's disappointing. Dale, I've been a head coach 22 years, and I've probably had 4 teams, including this one, in my 22 years that could have made a run. So it's disappointing that was taken away from us. But, we got a good young players, and hopefully we can get this thing back where it needs to be and make a run next year.
Look, you talked about that transition from being in the ACC to now competing in the Big Ten. This is your 6th go-around in the Big Ten. And this year, because of you guys and because of Penn State and Rutgers, I'm really becoming more familiar with Big Ten basketball. And I would argue that you guys could have made a claim that the Big Ten was the best basketball conference in America. And there are not a lot of years a lot of people would jump on the bandwagon with that one. But I think this year, legitimately, you guys could have made that claim. What's the biggest difference, Turge, between the Big Ten and the ACC and the Big 12, which you also coached in? So you've been in 3 of the Big 5, man. What's the difference basketball-wise?
Yeah, I was actually an assistant in the Pac-10 back in the day, so I've seen it all. I think the difference in what our league's about is it's an extremely good coaches league, guys that really know what they're doing, can really coach, make their teams better throughout the season. I think a lot of our players play from the neck up. We might not have the athletes that the ACC has and the length that their league might have in most years, but our league is special. And then we have fan bases that are terrific,
yes.
Especially when you're ranked every year like we are and you travel. You play in front of sold-out arenas and things. So it's a knowledgeable fan base. So I think that's really the difference. And the difference this year was our depth. When you have Penn State and Rutgers doing what they're doing right now, what they had, the seasons they had last year, and I think Rutgers is actually can make another jump this upcoming season. It tells you the depth of our league. You expect Michigan State, Maryland, certain teams like that to be good every year, Ohio State. But when the bottom half, so-called bottom half,
Iowa,
Iowa will be a top 5 team preseason next year. So, and they have some history, obviously. But it's just a terrific, league with great depth and a league that I'm proud to be a part of because it makes me a better coach every season to go against these great coaches in the Big Ten.
All right. Well, I have a hypothesis that I've been putting out there, and I'm trying to keep testing it. I think the Big 12 is well on its way to challenging the Big East as the preeminent basketball conference in the Mid-Atlantic region, which I would delineate that as like New York down to, D.C., maybe Northern Virginia. And I had a long talk with Keith Stevens the other day, and he feels that the bottom of the Mid-Atlantic region, the DMV area, is still decidedly in the ACC camp. But I've seen Maryland and Penn State come into Philly, and you guys have got 9 or 10 really, really good players over the past 6 or 7 years. So you have Rutgers to the north of Philly, Penn State to the west, Maryland to the south. The Big Ten has Philly surrounded. I think really Jim Delaney, whenever he sat in his office and came up with this, man, I think he really came up with a good plan to penetrate and make some inroads in my region in particular. Do you think the Big Ten can carve out a larger niche in that DMV? And if so, what steps does Maryland and the conference itself need to take to become recognized as a basketball destination in your area?
Well, I think Maryland is a destination in our area. I do think it's more of an ACC area to recruit, but also you got Villanova from the Big East that does a good job here, and Georgetown, obviously, in the Big East that does a good job here too. So what we've tried to do is really step up in the North. Matt Brady, obviously, is a Philly guy, and he's done a good job of getting us involved with good young players in Philly, Jersey, New York. So that's an area we're really trying to do a better job in. But we always try to protect our home turf. I think us and Penn State and the Big Ten do a great job here in this area of getting players. And I hope it stays that way, just us two in the Big Ten, to be quite honest with you. So I know other schools try to get in here, Ohio State, different schools. Actually, Iowa got Luka Garza out of here. Terrific evaluation on their part. So there's so many players, but, Maryland's a big brand here. We fight some really good schools, Villanova, Virginia, North Carolina, Duke, Syracuse. We fight a lot of really, really good schools for the players to keep them home. But, we're a monster university and a great basketball program, so we try to keep the right ones home, and we've been successful doing that. And obviously this year with Anthony Cowan and Jalen Smith, two local guys, really helped us be terrific.
Look, you mentioned the guys you've been able to come up north and get, and DAndre Scott, is my guy, man. He's just a really wonderful kid, Philly Pride, MOTEP kid. He ended up starting, I think, like 21 games for you as a freshman. He was a huge contributor to a championship team as a freshman. How was he able to break into that starting lineup as the year went on? And what did he bring to the table? And what areas do you expect to see him show some growth in to keep moving towards his potential as a college player for you guys?
Yeah, well, number one, he's a great kid, as you know, Dell. You tell him to go stand in the corner for 20 minutes, he'll go do it. You tell him to run 10 suicides in a row, he's going to go do it. You tell him to box out every time, he's going to go do it. So, and then he's a great kid off the court. He really grew up this year. He did a great job in the classroom. Some of his habits that we had to break, and we were able to do that. He totally bought into what we're doing. Dante brought his toughness from day one. He plays harder than – we have a lot of guys that play hard, but Dante plays harder than anybody on our team.
Even Morcell goes pretty hard out there.
He goes hard, but every day in practice, Dante had a little bit, as Dante gets a little bit older, I'm sure that'll slow down. His body will get fatigued. But, we'd do fast break drills, and you thought Dante was shot out by cannon, So it was really cool to see. He's a smart player. He's got a great feel on both ends. I had a really smart team this year. I had 6 guys that their intelligence level was, through the roof, and they would make adjustments in the game. I'd make adjustments, and they would make adjustments, and Dante was smart enough to do that, so that's why he was out there. And he just had a terrific year. I do think there's so much room for improvement with him. He's still raw. He still plays in 5th gear a little bit too much. His shot can really improve. It got better, but it can really improve. I think he's more of a playmaker than he showed this year. He started to get a little bit more comfortable in that role as the season went on. But I think he's going to be a big playmaker for us, whether he's at the 4 or at the 3, because you know his game. He can get in the paint.
He can handle it. He can pass it. Yes, he can.
Yeah. So I don't think he was comfortable. I think he was like, oh man, I got Anthony Cowan and Sticks and Aaron Wiggins, and I think each day he got a little bit more comfortable. But it's just slowing him down and recognizing situations, and he'll become a big-time playmaker and a big-time player for us, and hopefully this year his stats and everything jumps, significantly for us.
All right. Now, another kid from up this way is Eric Ayala. and I watched him really closely when he was playing with that We Are One program, and you clearly have a lot of trust in Eric as a playmaker and a decision maker. Are you counting on Eric to assume an even larger role in those areas with departure moving on to the professional ranks?
Yeah, he's going to have to, and he's capable. Eric had 20 versus Michigan on senior day for us, the day we cut down the nets. Eric didn't have as good a sophomore year as he did a freshman year. His freshman year, maybe he was terrific. He was a little bit inconsistent this year, and hopefully we'll get that consistency back from him. Needs to become a better defender. He knows that. I'm on him all the time. But we'll probably play him a lot like we did Anthony last year, on and off the ball, so he can score more for us. Depends who we get. A lot of schools are still trying to add players for next year's team. So, we're still trying to add a couple pieces. Hopefully, knock on wood, we get lucky and get a couple great ones to make us another top, 10 or 15 team in the country. But no, Eric's smart. Really, probably is our best passer. When he makes up his mind, he's going to be our best passer. He's one of our most, this year he didn't shoot it well. His freshman year, he shot 43% from three. But he's also a guy that can create and get his own shot.
Yep.
And that's, it's hard to score in college. Guys can load up, guys can play zone, they can play 17 different defenses. It's hard to score. I mean, you got guys like him and Wiggs and Dante eventually, Hakeem, I think, down the road. I just think you have guys that can get their own shot. That makes coaching a lot easier.
You mentioned Hakeem, and he had an up and down freshman campaign. There was some games where his number wasn't called at all. And then there would be games where you would just throw him in the fire in some of the most, intense moments out there. What can we expect to see from Hawk going forward? What areas does he need to show you some growth in?
Well, I wanted to redshirt him, Dell. I think it would have been the best for him in his future. But, we had inconsistency at that spot. I was trying to find our fifth guard between him and Sorrell Smith. And, Sorrell just worked harder in practice every day, and that's why he played in front of Hakeem. Hakeem's got to learn how to work harder. I think you know that, and I know that. He finally figured that out towards the end of the year, and that's why his minutes went up. Mm-hmm. He's a terrific player, man. He has a feel that you can't teach, and that's what I love about Philadelphia players. All of them have a great feel for the game. Hawk's going to, I think, make the biggest jump. I'm disappointed right now because, man, I tell you what, we're missing valuable time making him better, in the weight room and with us on the court, and just the extra time that he would have put in with the upperclassmen. And then we're probably going to miss part of the summer, if not all of it. So hopefully he's working. Hopefully he's working at the level. He knows there's a different level he has to work at now. But what a terrific player. What a feel for the game. Great length. I think he grew probably an inch since we signed him. He's almost
he is long, and he can scratch his ankles, man.
Yeah, long. And so, for us, and he knows that. And we said it in our last team meeting when our season ended and we were all crying and, crushed that the season ended. I said in front of the whole team, I said, Hakeem, man, you got to make that jump. We're all counting on you to make that jump. If you make that jump, you learn how to practice hard and play hard and compete and get a little bit more physical and don't be afraid of contact. We can stay where we are. And so he's a significant piece for us next year. And I'm just praying that he's home somehow figuring out how to work out and get better.
You mentioned the feel for the game as a commonality among the players from the up here.
Yep.
What are some of the other things about Philly kids that make them attractive as potential Terps? Because, you sneak in here, man, and you grab some good ones every once in a while. So what is it that keeps bringing you back up here?
Well, I've always wanted to recruit Philly. We missed on a few when we first got here. And it might have worked out for us a little bit on that. There's another one we missed out on that I really, really wanted. He went on and had a great career, and he's in the NBA now. With Coach Brady, a guy that doesn't mind getting in the car and driving up there.
Not at all. And calling you to talk for an hour while he's on.
And he can't hear a word you're saying, but he's still talking to you. But no, he's a grinder, and he's up there. And No, I've always liked Philly players. I think about Fran and his teams at Temple, and
Mm-hmm.
even before that, and just Aaron McKee's and those guys. I've always been enamored with Philadelphia players and what they're about, and their toughness and their knowledge of the game, and and they're really, to be quite honest with you, they're really humble, and that's nice to have in today's world when you can get kids that are humble and they come in, they just want to work and do what you say. So it's an area we hope to continue to be successful in. We know there's a lot of competition in that area, but if Dante and Akeem can have and Eric Ayala continue to have great careers for us, that only helps us in the future.
Talk to me about these. Your game is really fluid at this point, Turge. You could wake up in a few months and it's almost a different game. One of the big rule changes is this transfer rule. Doing away with the year in residency requirement. Players are going to be eligible immediately after they transfer. Will this significantly alter the way you approach high school recruiting? In other words, will you go and take a harder look at some of the older, proven college players before you take a look at the really good high school kids, or will you continue to go after really good high school kids and try to get a transfer here and there?
Yeah, first of all, let's talk about the rule. It's a rule that we can't stop. It's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like the image and likeness. Once politicians get involved, you're not stopping it, and so the NCAA knows if they don't implement it, the politicians are going to get involved. So they want to implement it in a way they can implement it. I don't think it's going to come this year. Just personally, I don't think it's going to come. We have one kid that we've recruited that might have to sit out, but it's coming. How are we going to approach it? We're still going to recruit the best high school players, especially in the area that we can get, and try to develop them and make them NBA players. But there will be, this time of year where we're getting after it and trying to fill a hole. Kid goes pro, you don't think he's going to go pro, and all of a sudden you got a hole you need to fill. We'll get in that market, but it's coming. I don't think it's coming this year, but I think it'll come after next season. That's my personal opinion. And as coaches, there's nothing we can do about it. So you're going to have to accept it. It's kind of scary, Dell, to be honest with you. We work really hard at Maryland to re-recruit our kids every day.
Mm-hmm.
By the way we treat them, by the way we coach. This place is amazing. Dale, you've
Yes.
seen it. The way we take care of our players. So that helps us. But you can't keep everybody happy in today's world. So I'm not going to lose players to the NBA. You're going to lose players
Transfer
that
market.
only played 18 minutes and thought they should have been playing 25, or got 12 shots and thought they should have been hitting 16. So it's going to happen. So we're going to do both, though. We're going to dabble with high school, and then if the wild, wild west does happen and guys can transfer right away, one-time transfer rule, we'll get involved with that too.
Look, you about the king of the two and dones, man. You
Yeah.
got Kevin Herter, Bruno Fernando, and Jalen Smith. They come play about 60 games with you, and they're millionaires, man. They head on to the NBA. Do you foresee this G League professional pathway program impacting the decision-making of those type of kids that you have had, that can come in and leave early and make the decision to go to pros? Do you think more of these types of prospects will forego what Maryland has to offer and opt for, Turge, they giving these kids $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year for 5 months in that G League program? Well, how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I think that's going to continue to grow. And let me look, this is the way we do it. Most of the kids we recruit value education. Jalen Smith and Kevin Herter's coming back to school. Jalen Smith is trying to figure out how he can take online courses to graduate after he leaves here. Bruno Fernando wasn't at the time considered ready for the G League. He made the right choice. I know probably one day I'm going to have a kid. The G League wasn't supposed to take kids that signed letters of intent, but they did that with Dacian Nix the other day, which is really disheartening, to be quite honest with you, because he was committed to them and signed a letter of intent, was with them for 6 months, and then just leaves them out to dry here in late April. But hey, there's kids out there that don't want to go to school. There's kids out there that have no money. Their parents have no money. I'm all for it. Let them go. I do think the rule's going to change for kids that go straight to the NBA. So you're not going to have the top. So those guys right now, they'd be putting their name in the NBA draft instead of the G League.
Top
And
5 kids, top
yeah,
6 or 7 kids.
yeah, or kids that just don't want to go to college. I mean, it's that simple. And
Well,
you
they
know,
ain't gonna pay everybody
no,
500,000.
no, 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 no. But I hear you. And I think some kids would leave for less. To be honest with you, they just don't want to go to college. But hey, I love college. Great experience, great education. The things that it teaches you about life going to college, I think trumps all that money. But you need solid families that value education and that's the kind of kids that we like to recruit.
Well, another area that the politicians are definitely going to get involved in is the likeness and image area. Star college players, especially in leagues like the Big Ten, the ACC, they're just going to have significant value when this thing pushes through. Now, Maryland is the flagship program in that state. And I've sat with about 17,000 of my good friends at your home game on many occasions. So your top players will have a very real earning potential as product or service endorsers. Do you think the NCAA should go down this route? I know that the politicians are driving the bus, but do you think they should put up any resistance to it? And once it goes through, will allowing kids to get this kind of money and then come back into the locker room and the other guys turn on the TV and they see these guys doing commercials or whatever, will that impact the dynamics of what you have to deal with?
Absolutely, and it's coming, Dell. I mean, I think it's going to pass May 20th. NCAA is just trying to make sure they have some control of it. I was reading some things on the internet last night. I liked all but one thing that they talked about letting these kids do. Obviously, where we are, Washington D.C., DMV, it's a great place to be. Obviously, image and likeness makes the rich richer, I guess you should say.
Yes.
And so I like to think we're already rich, being at Maryland with our tradition and what we've been able to do. So I just want to see what the rules are and how we follow them. Am I concerned? Yes. Jalen Smith, for example, last year, if he was doing commercials and he was making $15,000, doing whatever he was doing, I don't know what the limit's going to be, but and then somebody else wasn't. Is it going to be a problem? Absolutely. I watched it in the NBA when I was with the Sixers. One guy's suite was bigger than the other suite on the road. Guy got pissed off. Guys, I should be getting paid what that guy's getting paid. So it is what it is. It just adds another dynamic to college coaching. It's a fight every day being a college coach. People have no idea just all the dynamics, all the things you have to do just to stay on top of things. So it'll add another piece to us, but hopefully because of where we are, all our guys will be able to benefit from the new rule.
I spent 3 years on a College Park campus in grad school. And you guys have been gracious enough to allow me to, have really unfettered access to what you're doing down there. So I've really heard your pitch. I know what you guys offer. I know what Maryland basketball is all about. Your pitch is actually a really pretty good one, Turge. You got to let people see this personality a little more, man. You kind of be reserved a little too much. But yeah. I want you to take a few minutes for a lot of my viewers are parents, grandparents, AU guys, high school guys, and even a few players. Talk to them, man. Tell them why Maryland is a great place for really talented basketball players to come and play and pursue that college degree.
Well, Dell, I'm quiet by nature. I don't like to draw attention to myself. That's kind of who I am. But, when it's time to sell, I'll sell. I don't want to give all my secrets away today, but I think our tradition speaks for itself, number one. I think the area we live in is second to none. I think it's the most powerful, most beautiful place, one of the most beautiful places in the world. So, our degree, since we joined the Big Ten, it's I mean, you almost have to have 4.0 to get into Maryland. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so my players are surrounded by really smart people that, could be a business partner of theirs someday. So, academically, it's a terrific, terrific place for young people. There's just really no holes in our program. I have a terrific strength coach, and Kyle Tarp, as you know, he's one of the best in the country. I have a great staff. We're really into individual improvement. You talked about those guys that were 2 and done. 2 of those guys were supposed to be 4-year guys, and weren't sure they were going to be NBA guys, and we really developed players. So it's a passion of mine. When I was with the 76ers 23 years ago with Coach Brown, it was one of the things I did was help make players better. So it's been a passion of mine. It's something that we really implement here and work hard to make guys better. I think I'm a good guy. I think our style of play is terrific. I think we let guys play, and we win. And we move guys on to the NBA, and we're ranked a lot. So it's a terrific place. Our fan base. We're always top 10 in the country in attendance, and I just love it here. I'm a Midwest guy that lives out here and just loves raising my family here. We're 2 hours from the beach, we're 3 hours from snow skiing. We can get to Philly and New York in a short time. We can go south into North Carolina in 3 or 4 hours. So it's really just a great place to be successful. And, if we get them on campus, it's usually a done deal.
Yeah, it is, Turge.
So I could go on and on. I love it here. This is where I want to end my career. And but I want to win a heck of a lot more games and hopefully win a national championship, in the next few years.
Well, I'm really fond of you and your staff. I think you guys approach this recruiting thing in a really straightforward and relentless manner, and I really respect the way you guys get it done. My guys that have come down there are absolutely happy with the way things that have turned out for them. So if they're good, I'm good. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. We look forward to seeing you as soon as Mother Nature lets us all get back to resuming our lives.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dale. Enjoy.
All right,
All right.
I'm so possessed by